Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
Kakashi-sensei, is it all right if I ask you a question? Naruto said politely to his sensei, who just responded with an amused expression on his face. Well, Naruto, you just did. This managed to bring the ire of Naruto as he chuckled at the expression on the boy's face. But yes, you may ask another question. Kakashi replied. Well, Kakashi-sensei, I was hoping that it would be a possibility as to whether or not I could accompany you to the diplomatic mission. Naruto stated to his sensei. He knew that it was unlikely to happen, but there was certainly no harm in asking. Kakashi gave Naruto a curious yet somehow serious look as he tried to discern how serious Naruto was about this. It was not something that he could readily allow, since it was such an important mission to the future of Konoha. After an intense stare down with his student, Kakashi finally relented and allowed Naruto to come on the proviso that the Kusa lead Jonin was accepting of having Naruto there. If this goes ahead though, there are some rules that you must follow. You must not speak at all during the entire conversations, as it could affect the way that the discussion goes. You will essentially be a fly on the wall and just take notes in your head if they do allow you in. They wouldn't allow you to have a book or paper in the room, Kakashi said to his student. Naruto nodded quickly, as he was a little nervous around their sensei when he was serious. It was something that he had never seen before, and it was fairly scary for him. This was in comparison to who he was usually, a chronic pervert and someone who was always 3 hours late to anything below that of an A-ranked mission. Well, what do we have here? Why is there someone else coming along with you? I thought that we agreed on only there being us two here for the meeting, Kakashi-san. The man said in a polite tone, although Kakashi knew that the man was irritated quite a bit of the lack of respect for not telling him. And with that said, Kakashi replied with an eye smile that had been trademarked ever since he was a ninja. It was his way of being polite yet while still being a condescending arsehole at the same time. And yet you still have 3 members of your ANBU division here ready in position to strike. Odd. Kakashi questioned in a false cheery tone, to say as if that he didn't know what he was doing in the room. Taking the words of Kakashi in stride, the Jonin head of the room asked Naruto a question. Well, little boy, why is it that you are here and not out playing with your teammates? The man questioned to Naruto, who didn't know what to do as his sensei had told him not to speak. Looking for guidance, Naruto got a head nod in return. I have a dream to become the Hokage, sir. That means that I not only have to be a strong shinobi, but I also have to be someone who is good in diplomatic situations, and generally as a ninja you don't get many opportunities to gain experience in that field. When Kakashi-sensei told me what we were doing for our mission, I had hopes that I could watch how 2 Jonin-level ninjas held talks between one another. Naruto politely stated with small nod of the head as he demonstrated hopefully enough manners so that he could stay in the room. Taken back by the amount of politeness that Naruto had shown, the Jonin commander was heavily impressed by Naruto's emotional control. Admittedly, he expected the other children his age be nowhere near as well-mannered as Naruto. Nodding at the non-specific question that Naruto had asked during his speech, the Jonin commander made a gesture for Naruto and Kakashi to take the seats that were in the room. I see from the crutches that you have with you, you must be the student of Kakashi's that got the broken leg. The man behind the desk stated as he looked at Naruto. The sole point was to start a conversation with the kid he was curious about. Naruto merely nodded in reply. XXX. The meeting went well, both parties being Kakashi Hatake and the Jonin commander of Kuzugakure were happy with the outcome, as they both thought that their village got the better deal. Konoha would be getting a much cheaper price than what other villages got when it came to the prices of the poisons that Kuzugakure sold. In return, Kuzugakure and in smaller portions the entire land of grass got better import costs when it came to red meat and grained food. Walking out of the room, Kakashi felt the need to ask Naruto as to what he had gathered during the meeting. So Naruto, what happened? The silver-haired Jonin asked as he was curious as to how good his sensei's son was in the art of deciphering hidden messages and how to look for people's telltale signs. Not even bothering to remove his gaze from the path that he was headlining on, Naruto spoke to his sensei. Well, most of the things that I missed were due to the fact that I didn't know what you were talking about. The only thing that I got when it came to him showing his emotions through his facial expressions was when you annoyed him. He had a tick in the area surrounding his right eye. I guess if I had training in the art of detecting people's emotions through their facial expressions, then I would have been able to get more. Naruto stated to his sensei, who looked impressed that Naruto managed to get that. For Kakashi, the change in Naruto's appearance and his personality was something that astounded him. In just 1 month his sensei's son had gone from loud, obnoxious, and retarded to a smart, albeit someone who has no information in his head, polite, calm, most of the time anyway, and well-mannered person. The silver-haired Jonin wished he knew what he could attribute Naruto's change to so that he could thank the person. He knew it wasn't the Sandaime, as he had also been baffled by Naruto's new change. XXX. Now that they had gotten back to the apartment that Team 7 had been allocated, Kakashi was just about to leave the room so that he could go and check on Sasuke and Sakura to see what they were doing. Then, before he left, Naruto asked for something to do during the downtime. Well, Naruto, you should just practice the Academy Chakra Control exercise of sticking things to your body, as it will build up more chakra control. It is something that you are in desperate need of because of the QB. While you have abnormally large chakra reserves that are even greater than mine, you lack the control to take full advantage of the chakra inside you. It will also make learning jutsus easier so that they don't blow up in your face. Kakashi stated to Naruto, who took it in stride with his face giving off a bit of a grimace at the mentioning of the QB. The more things that are small and weigh quite a bit, the better your chakra control will be. So I guess I should get going and see what Sakura and Sasuke are doing. Kakashi said before he disappeared from view via the use of the Shunshin. XXX. Arriving the customary 3 hours late that he usually did, Kakashi told his team something different today instead of their usual teamwork training, which was subsequently followed up by the customary D-ranked missions. Today there will be a new form of training that you three will be doing. At this bold statement, everyone that was in the area, which, admittedly, was only Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, sharply turned their heads as they faced their sensei, as they wanted to know what this new form of training was going to involve. It's called tree climbing. And so begun the tale of Kakashi explaining how tree climbing worked. Use the kunai in front of you to mark how high you go up the tree. Each time try and do it just a little bit more than the last time so you can use it as motivation to get better. Kakashi stated as he wanted to see how his students progress when it came to their first real form of training. It was no surprise to the Jonin sensei of Team 7 as he watched how Naruto's foot rocketed off the tree. The raven-haired Uchiha was much the same in the fact that he attacked the tree with too much chakra, much like his genin teammate in Naruto. Compared to what Naruto and Sasuke had just done when it came to how good they had managed to control their chakra, Sakura was in a league of her own when it came to competing with her two teammates. For the pink-haired girl had made it all the way up to the 3rd branch. She was calmly sitting on the branch as she tried to impress her crush in how good she was with her chakra control. Oh, it looks like that one who best at controlling her chakra is Sakura, the girl. Kakashi commented as he tried to induce some feelings of jealousy in both Naruto and Sasuke. I wanted Sasuke-kun to compliment me. Why does it always turn out like this? Sakura pessimistically thought to herself as she tried to gain the affections of Sasuke. The sensei of Team 7 was looking on with interest as he watched the interactions that Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura were having with each other. Maybe it's Sakura and not someone else that is closest to becoming the Hokage right now. Kakashi said, with Naruto for his part looking down in concentration as he tried to not let the words of his sensei get to him. It wasn't only Naruto who was getting ribbing from Kakashi, as Sasuke too got it. Maybe the Uchiha clan wasn't as great as what they were claimed to be. Kakashi trailed off as he watched the normally impassive face turn into a fierce scowl. Seeing what her sensei was trying to do, Sakura tried to get onto Sasuke's good side by sticking up for him and attacking her sensei, albeit verbally. Hey, shut up, sensei! Sakura stated as she had worries of her crush hating her. XXX. In the space of a month, where Team 7 had been working on their teamwork as well as the tree climbing exercise, Naruto was also furthering his skills as a ninja on the side. The first jutsu that Naruto learned was the wind release, great breakthrough layman's terms. It was just a massive gust of wind in a general direction that if used by a strong enough ninja was powerful enough that it could knock down trees. The second jutsu that Naruto learned was the wind release, violent wind palm. Reading about this jutsu, Naruto immediately saw other uses for this jutsu. He guessed that this jutsu would be able to repel all kinds of attacks except fire ninjutsu, since he knew what they could do, as he had been on the end of a combined wind and fire ninjutsu thanks to his teammate Sasuke. The main difference was the fact that this one didn't do as much damage in the direction it was sent. Add to that how the jutsu required more control rather than brute force made it a jutsu that Naruto wanted to learn. The major reason for this was how that Naruto could combine it with his kunai and shuriken that he threw, so that the metallic weapons could sail through the air with more power behind them, which would make their cutting efficiency. When Naruto threw the kunai from his holsters in his left hand now instead of his right one and used it in combination with the new wind ninjutsu, Naruto watched in fascination as the kunai went through a tree before getting most of the way through a second one before it got caught. He was giddy, and this was compounded by how he was noticing his body changing over the past month, now that he was following Karen's diet plan. With an increase in calcium due to drinking large amounts of milk, the Kyuubi went into overdrive, strengthening the skeletal system of Naruto. In addition to having healthier bones, said bones were slowly being supported by ever-growing muscles. When Naruto looked into the recently purchased mirror, he saw that was changing for the better. His skin was looking healthier, there was more color to it. He was feeling better, had more energy, and filled out his clothes more. Slowly, his posture was becoming straighter and straighter due to achievement-based confidence. XXX. The customary shout of "you're late" woke Naruto out of his reverie. So sorry guys, this time there was a burst fire hydrant near the Hokage's office and I had to use my lightning manipulation to weld it together so that none of the water could come out, Kakashi said in what he thought was a believable tone of voice. The sad thing though was that since Sakura hadn't had much experience in determining a lie, she believed her sensei because she trusted him since he was one of her authority figures. Right, anyway, how about we go to the Hokage's tower so that we can get a new mission for today, the silver-haired jonin said to his 3 genin students with a nice smile, being used to give them a condescending smile that stated, everyone had to deranked missions and you're no different. The reason why Kakashi did this was because he saw the looks of contempt grow on the faces of his students. It was none more so apparent on Sasuke's face as he showed his anger through his emotions. Sakura was not much better, as he could guess that she was worried about having her clothes dirty. Naruto on the other hand managed to hold in his distaste for the boring missions quite well, although to a seasoned Chunin or someone above, it was easy to tell that Naruto hated them just as much as his 2 other teammates did. Walking through Konoha, Team 7 made their way to the Hokage Tower, and it was not until that Sakura looked around and didn't spot a leaked fire hydrant anywhere around. It was at this moment that Sakura rapidly turned around and pointed an accusing finger at her sensei. You lied. You said that you had to fix a faulty fire hydrant today and that's why you were late. I should have known you didn't do anything worthwhile. You probably were just reading your pervy book, weren't you, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura said in an accusing tone of voice which, like usual, was very loud, which drew all of the people in the street and their attention onto Kakashi, amused at what was going on in front of them, as they all knew of the reputation that Kakashi had earned for himself being late. It was then that the silver-haired jonin replied in usual Kakashi fashion by You say something, all the while never lifting his head out of his book to acknowledge her. This was something that made all of the people watching the interaction between sensei and student was something that made them laugh. Sakura for her part was beyond angry. She was livid, and that made her turn her head around in huff and anger and walk faster to their destination, hoping to find a mission so that she could get her mind off of how her sensei had just embarrassed her in public like that. Hokage's office. When all of Team 7 was standing in front of the Hokage, it was this time that Hiruzen Sarutobi started reading off of the paper in front of him that said what Team 7's next slated mission was. It says here that your next mission is to babysit Yoji Osama's baby boy, grocery shopping in a local town and helping to dig up some potatoes. The Hokage stated as he watched the interactions of Team 7. Initially, Hiruzen thought that Naruto would have folded sooner and demanded a better mission, much like that Inuzuka kid had done just a week ago, but Hiruzen was surprised with the amount of composure that Naruto was putting on display. It was then that Naruto cracked and finally started talking about getting a better mission. Hokage-sama, when Naruto used that, it made the old man cringe as he wasn't sure whether he liked the new Naruto compared to the old one. The old one was so full of life and happy, it was as if Naruto was the exact replica of what his mother was like apart from the pathetic fanboy tendencies that Naruto had towards Sakura. This new Naruto, on the other hand, was so much duller in the way he expressed his emotions and just didn't exude the same unbridled happiness that he once did. I think we, as a team, are more than ready for a C-ranked mission. When we were on our B-ranked diplomatic mission to Kusa and had to battle a seasoned Chunin ninja and won the battle with just a little bit of help from Kakashi-sensei at the end. Even before that we were holding our own, even beating a Chunin that was throwing around high B-ranked and low A-ranked jutsus at us, and we were winning at the time, weren't we, Sasuke? Naruto questioned to his male teammate. Said male teammate nodded as he caught on to the speech that Naruto was using to try and persuade the Hokage into giving their team a better mission. Amused at the way that Naruto was trying to sway his decision-making, the Sandaime Hokage decided to get into a battle of words with Naruto, and if Naruto could convince him, then he would allow the team to go on a C-ranked mission. Besides, they had Kakashi as their sensei. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, you say that you had the battle completely under control, you say? Then what about how you Naruto suffered a broken leg during the mission? Naruto, care to explain that? The Sandaime said with an amused look on his face as he looked on at the blonde-haired boy try to get out of the situation he had just put himself in. Personally, I think that only proves my point even more so, as it shows that as a team, when we are faced with a small case of adversity, we power on through the tough time and get the mission completed just like any Chunin or Jonin would do. Naruto stated as he was using the natural charisma that he had in getting people to see his way of view and get them to follow his beliefs. Shocked and stunned at the words that Naruto had used to fuel his side of the argument, Hiruzen looked like he had just seen a ghost of Minato come and possess his son and tell him exactly the right words to say. Irika, who was standing there beside the Hokage, helping the man with the missions, was about to say something about Naruto needing experience in doing more mission before they could request a C-ranked mission, but hearing how Naruto talked about how he could pass through the pain barrier of a broken leg and still fight and win against a Chunin was something that told Irika that Naruto was ready for another mission. Looking at the new Naruto, Irika wasn't sure what to think. On the one hand, he liked the new Naruto a lot and how he was maturing ever since that incident. The new Naruto was much better suited to the life of a ninja now that he had mellowed out a little. Doing the right thing at the time, Irika kept his mouth shut and his opinions to himself as he watched how the Sandaime spoke to Team 7 about their new mission to the Land of Waves. Okay, I'll allow it. It was these words coming from the Sandaime Hokage that brought all of Team 7's attention onto the aging man, and they hung onto his every word in the hopes of hearing that they got a better mission. Somehow managing to keep the pipe that was lit in his mouth while speaking clearly, Hiruzen Sarutobi started speaking to the Genin team along with their sensei that was in front of him. I will allow you to take on a C-ranked mission, Hiruzen said as he mused what the outcome of the mission would be. Although he knew that if anything serious happened, then Kakashi could deal with relative ease. As soon as Hiruzen said this, he motioned a hand so that the Chunin doing guard duty would allow the client of Team 7 to come into the room. It was then that Kakashi Hatake and the 3 genin that made up his team were greeted with the sight of a drunken old man walking in with not much stability. As he walked in the room, he had to rest on the wall as he took a few massive gulps of the liquor from the bottle. To Naruto's eyes, the amount of disrespect the man was showing was ludicrous. If Naruto had been in the Hokage's shoes when the man entered drunk and practically off of his feet, well, Naruto would have been highly insulted and could very well possibly deny a mission. Naruto didn't voice his opinion as he didn't want to ruin the good faith that he had shown his boss to get the mission in the first place. What is this bullshit? I hired ninjas, not some wet behind the ears brats. I mean, look at the short one. Is he even old enough to go to your ninja training school, let alone even be a ninja? Tazuna wildly questioned as the alcohol in his bottle sloshed around as he tried to stand up, although that was hard since he was absolutely wasted. While Naruto had been growing rapidly thanks to the influx of nutrients that his body so desperately needed, Naruto growth spurt was not due to kick in for another few months. I am the master bridge building expert Tazuna. At this point the grandfather paused so he could gather his bearings as he was seeing 2 of Sakura at the moment. Once I have returned to my country, I will have all of you protect my life with yours while I complete the bridge." Tazuna said to the group of 4 ninjas that he had paid to protect him. "Very well then, we will meet you 2 hours at the front gate of Konoha to go and complete the mission, okay?" Kakashi asked to the client, who only nodded in his drunken haze and backed out of the room clumsily, almost tripping over. It was then that Naruto commented on who his first client on a mission that went outside of Konoha. "That man. I hope this mission ends quickly because I don't want to spend much time around him at all," Naruto said to his 2 teammates, who both nodded as they equally didn't like the guy that questioned their status as a ninja. Right then, Team 7 go home and get packed for the mission, which, considering the scroll here, it says that we will be gone for about a month. Kakashi said with a smile on his face, as he wanted to see how his students reacted to finding out that they had to spend a whole month with the drunken old man. The groan that came from all of them was music to Kakashi's ears. XXX. It was not that hard for Naruto to pack all of his clothes and all of the other things that he needed for his journey to Wave Country. Once that was all done, Naruto went down to the Ichiraku ramen bar so that he could have a snack and have a conversation with Ayam and Tucci about what was going on in their lives at the moment. XXX. As soon as Naruto and Kakashi arrived at the front gates of Konoha and made their presence known, it was then that Sakura, not even thinking that Naruto might have gone through something traumatic, and just rattled off in her usual loud tone of voice. "Naruto Baka. Where have you been? We have been waiting just over half an hour for you to get here," the pink-haired girl all but screamed, which, directed at Naruto, was enough for all of the people in a 15 m radius to hear and made them listen intently to the conversation to see what the demon host would do. "Sakura, shut up," the blonde-haired boy said in an unusually cold voice that took Sakura by shock for a second. It was then that, since Sakura was a fairly spoilt girl with her childhood friendship Ino not helping it as much, thought that with Naruto having feelings for her, if she demanded what she wanted, she would get the answers that she sought. "No, Naruto. Do you know how badly this could affect our mission record? Sasuke-kun might not be able to do another mission for a long time since you were so selfish that you would hinder the chances of Sasuke-kun," Sakura said in a tone that easily made anyone around her know that she was angry. "Where do you think you have been, boy? I could have been home with my family and building my super bridge, but no, you had to be selfish and make others have to suffer from your actions," the drunken man said as his booze sloshed and struggled to keep his balance. "My offer still stands about your family, Tazuna, was it? So I suggest that you watch your mouth, or there will be the deaths of your family on your guilty conscience for the rest of your miserable life. If you don't want this to happen, then I suggest that your mouth stops moving," Naruto said with the coldest tone he had used so far in all of his life, and it was one that scared Sakura to no end, as she still had delusions of Naruto soon reverting to the orange-wearing idiot that he once was. Looking at everything that had just transpired in front of him, Kakashi sighed and hoped that the mission could go quickly and end as soon as possible, because he was not sure how he was going to survive it if it didn't start getting better. Whilst Naruto was right to feel annoyed, it was concerning to see such a shift from the blonde. He was going to have to monitor this. XXX. Thanks to Tazuna being a civilian, it meant that Team 7 was limited to a walking pace, one which an old, unfit drunken man could keep up with. In the mind of the raven-haired Uchiha, the boy was getting increasingly agitated, as he had been expecting at least some form of battle with some inept mercenaries, but to no avail. There had been none of the sort fight break out, although that was soon about to change. With the conversation between his student now over, Kakashi now turned his attention from Sakura and onto the path where the silver-haired Jonin noticed a puddle on the side of the road. He knew that it hadn't rained in the last few days. Kakashi instantly knew that it was a shinobi team, and he was curious as to seeing what would happen. Coming out of the puddle, the 2 Chunin from the Mist Village raced towards the sensei of Team 7 with their dual gauntlet chain combination. The blonde-haired boy was the first one to react as he jumped back to get more distance between him and the 2 demon brothers who were going for him next. "Wind release, air bullet jutsu," Naruto called out as he blasted a bullet of compressed air out of his mouth and at the slight gap in between his 2 enemies. Doing the instinctual thing, the 2 Chunin brothers from Kiri dodged the way that cost them the least amount of effort, considering they thought that their genin opponent was being cocky and trying to take the 2 of them out with the one jutsu. The force in which the wind release jutsu was so powerful that it broke the chain in half, so that the demon brothers were now not connected by the metal link. Having had enough of sitting back and allowing Naruto to take all of what he thought was his time to gain experience, Sasuke entered the battle and took Meizu out of Naruto's hands, which was fine by Naruto. He saw this and rushed towards Gozu to take his attention away from helping his brother versus Sasuke and kept him focused on himself. Engaging in a taijutsu battle was something that Naruto liked, as it allowed him to get up close and personal to his opponent, in which Naruto could use his size to his advantage. With a little right-hand chakra enhancing his strikes, Kakashi dropped down from out of nowhere, it seemed, in the mind of Sakura and struck the two Chunins from the Mist Village in the back of the neck. It was faster than anyone could follow, which made Gozu and Meizu drop down like a sack of potatoes as their bodies couldn't handle the pressure. As Kakashi went over to the two former Chunin, he prepared to tie them down. It was then that the pink-haired Kunoichi's voice rang through the pathway. "Kakashi-sensei, you're alright." Sakura exclaimed with happiness, as she didn't know what she would have done if she had lost her sensei then. It was then that the Kunoichi of the year asked a question that Kakashi hoped that she would have known without needing the answer. "How did you manage to escape?" Sakura questioned with confusion, as she didn't see anything to alleviate her worries when her sensei disappeared right in front of her very eyes. For his reply, all the silver-haired jonin did was glance in the direction of where he replaced himself with the log. "TCH, show off, I could have handled my opponent, but Kakashi just had to drop in and take away my battle. The good thing was though that he also did it to Naruto so that he couldn't get any experience as well. Sensei didn't have to do that, as I was fairly confident in the fact that I could win my battle. Oh well. At least this time I didn't freeze up like that slight little hesitation I had in my last mission." These were the respective thoughts of Sasuke and Naruto as they watched their sensei to see what he was doing, as whatever it was sure making Tazuna sweat quite a lot. Since Kakashi had such good control over his killing intent, it was only Tazuna that was feeling the effects as he got stared down by Kakashi, who was waiting for an explanation. He wanted to know why there were people who were trying to kill him and that they were desperate enough to send ninjas to do the job. Stammering, Tazuna did his best to gather what little control he had over his emotions, as he felt as if he was Scarecrow, only that he was a failing Scarecrow and there was all these crows circling above wanting to take him down. "You're right, there is a super dangerous man after my life." Hiding the fact that he was laughing at his client because he always used the word super, Kakashi replied in his usual nonchalant tone of voice, although one could tell that his eye was firmly directed on Tazuna to detect whether or not the man was lying as he spoke. "Super, huh?" Kakashi replied, coercing the information out of the bridge builder. Not knowing that Kakashi was mocking him, Tazuna sighed and spoke up. "Yeah, you probably already know who I'm talking about. His name is Gatu," the grandfather said to Kakashi, which invoked a look of shock from Kakashi. "Huh, Gatu, from that shipping company? He's said to be one of the richest men in the world," the silver-haired jonin said, as he was astounded to find out someone so wealthy was after his client. This opened up a whole new range of possibilities in terms of who could be coming next. Thankful that Kakashi knew who he was talking about, Tazuna started speaking again to shed some light as to why the filthy businessman wanted his head. Yes, officially he runs a large shipping company, but underneath the surface, he sells drugs and other illegal items using ninja and gang members to take over businesses and countries. He's a very nasty man, Tazuna said, to which after he finished speaking, he took a swig from his bottle of sake. Continuing from where he left it before, Tazuna started speaking once again. It was about a year ago when that Gata turned his sights onto Wave Country. Through money and violence he quickly took control over the whole entire country's shipping industry, which is our biggest asset as a nation. Gata now has a complete monopoly on all of the country and business that goes through the place. The only thing that he has to fear is the completion of the bridge, since it would end his monopoly on the way people could get things to and from Wave Country. The Wave Country is super poor, and even the Daimyo of the land is super poor. That's why we don't have enough money to pay for a B-ranked mission, Tazuna said, as if he was obscenely pessimistic that he was going to die in the next few minutes. It was then that Tazuna saw that his speech was not going to well and tried another way to get them to help his cause. "If you abandon the mission now, I will surely be killed. But don't worry about it, if I die, my cute 10-year-old grandson will just cry for a few days," Tazuna said as he tried to guilt his way to the safety of home with the ninjas guarding him. It was then that Naruto had had enough. made his way into the conversation as he hated the way in which Tazuna was trying to guilt them. He was speaking to people that had a far harsher childhood than what this supposed grandson would have with losing a grandfather. The way he said it, the kid would still have a mother or father. Naruto always was quick-witted. It was evident in the battle plans that he thought up on the fly. Now, having spent a lot of time in the library, it wasn't just limited to fights. It will be good character building for the kid. You're speaking to ninjas, people who have much harder lives than what you civilians could even dream of, and yet you don't see us complaining about what life has dealt. We all had to go through these things when we were young, so it is not as if you can say that he is too young to go through something like that. Some have our own family commit the worst form of betrayal, others are an orphan from birth. What you are saying isn't that new to us. Naruto said in a cold tone, as he had never got along well with his client from the moment he had walked into the Hokage's office all drunk. Now that he was lying on the difficulty of the mission, it just made Naruto mad, in addition to the extra adrenaline running through his body from just having fought. Sakura for her part was shocked that Naruto would so openly suggest traumatizing a child by the death of a family member. She could not even utter a reply to what her blonde-haired teammate had just said. Sasuke and Kakashi, on the other hand, were both in agreement with what Naruto had just said. They also had suffered a harsh upbringing, and the thought of only hearing that your grandfather died was something that was totally minute in comparison to what they had gone through. Shocked at what the blonde-haired kid had just said to him, Tazuna rapidly tried to think of a way that would make the team of ninjas come with him to protect his home. Oh yeah, my daughter will also live a sad life cursing the village hidden in the leaves forever since they allowed her father to die, Tazuna said as he tried to dig himself out of the hole that he was in. Sadly for the man, things didn't go as well as he had hoped. Naruto, acting much like the clan that he was hoping to join in the near future, sensed that the man was very much afraid and struck for the kill. She will not even know that you made it to the Leaf Village in the first place, because you could have just as easily died by someone sent by Gara to kill you. That is more of a possibility than us failing to protect you. Looking at your facial expression, you know this as well as we do, so how about you come up with a valuable reason as to why we should help you? Otherwise, as protocol states, we will be leaving shortly to inform of an incorrect mission ranking, and your family will be forced to pay for a B-ranked mission. This mission has been upgraded now that there are Chunin from a hidden village that tried to attack you, Naruto said without much care in the world for what would happen to Tazuna or his family. He had never gotten along with the man and thought that this was poetic justice for lying and endangering the ninja that he had hired thanks to the botched ranking. Let it not be said that intentional false mission ranking was a serious crime, as it needlessly put lives at risk more than what they already were. Having nothing on his mind to say in return, since he was practically off of his face with liquor, the grandfather fell down to the ground and started crying heavily. He did not want to face the reality of everything coming down and crashing whatever little hope he had of returning his homeland to its former glory. Impressed with the way how Naruto had handled the client, Kakashi nodded to Naruto, who looked up to him as if he had done something right. He was met with an eye smile. Sasuke on his part was cursing himself for not speaking up. Had he spoken up, he might have been able to swing the mission into his favor and get his team to go on the mission and hopefully battle more experienced enemies so that he could test out his recently activated Sharingan. Sakura for her part was both proud and scared at what Naruto had just done. On one hand, she was proud because Naruto was able to stand up to a client when she knew that she wouldn't have been able to do that. On the other hand though, what Naruto had just done was cruel, and wondered if Naruto would get worse as time went on. Feeling some form of sympathy for his former client, Kakashi turned around and spoke to the crying old man to try and ease his conscience on the fact that he was condemning a whole country to a tyrannic rule. It was not something that Kakashi was unfamiliar with, as he had been witness to a whole lot of things from when he was in the ANBU, but it was never an easy thing to do. Tazuna-san, had you come to the Hokage and told him the truth about your situation, then he would have easily set up a payment plan in which the proper shinobi team could be assembled for the mission, and that you could pay the cost of the mission over time as your village gets out of its depression. But since you chose to lie about mission rankings, which is one of the most frowned upon things one can do to a ninja, this will be the termination of your contract with the Hidden Leaf Village, Kakashi stated in a diplomatic tone. Turning his attention from the man, Kakashi looked at his own team and started talking in a commanding tone of voice. Now team, we will be heading off now. And with that said, Kakashi leapt up into the tree line, shortly followed by Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura as they started moving on their way to home at a much faster speed in which they were walking at the last 2 days. Once the pace had been set for a while and that they had gotten into a steady rhythm, it was finally time that Sakura asked Naruto a question on her mind. Naruto, don't you think that you were harsh on Tazuna? The old Naruto would have never done that. He would have tried to save them. Sakura questioned softly but started getting louder and louder as she neared the end of her sentence. What Naruto did not know was that both Sasuke and Kakashi were listening intently as to what was going on, as they wanted to know why Naruto said what he did. It was then that the 3 members of Team 7 got the reply from Naruto. Recently, I have been going to the library quite a bit and I have been reading a book on what exactly the Hokage did because I still want to become the Hokage. It was then that the answer came to Kakashi, although Sasuke and Sakura didn't know, so Naruto had to explain in more detail. The Hokage is the person who has to do everything that is in the best interest of Konoha. For Konoha, it would be better if we didn't possibly lose 4 of our ninja, especially with one being the last of his bloodline clan. Konoha would want for him to have children so that the power that the Uchiha once had was back up at full force, compared to saving a different country from a tyranny which could possibly make us lose one of Konoha's elite jonin. Naruto stated, to which Sasuke and Sakura got what Naruto was saying, but they also got the hidden message that sometimes you needed to make the hard decisions rather than the easy ones. It was then that Naruto tried to lessen the mood by adding a joke. Plus, at least I got us away from that drunken old man. I absolutely hated him and was thankful for getting out of having to spend a whole month considering how loudly he snored. Naruto said with a bit of a grin on his face as he could finally get a good night of sleep. This was a statement that no one a part of Team Kakashi could refute, as the drunken old man snored so loudly that it was really hard to get to sleep. What made it worse was that thanks to the alcohol in his system, when he went to bed he was asleep in a couple of minutes. For someone like Kakashi, who had trained to wake up at the sound of a pin drop, it was an absolute nightmare, as he had gotten about 3 hours sleep over the last 2 days and was thankfully looking towards a larger amount of shut-eye. XXX. Seeing as though he could give his team some indirect training without the fear of anything happening now that they didn't have a client to worry about, this was in the form of being the night watchman through shifts. Now that there was light coming into the campsite, thanks to it getting closer and closer to the summer months, the silver-haired jonin now had time to write the report of the mission to send to Sarutobi about what had happened. The mission was going smoothly for the first 2 days, until it was when I noticed a puddle on the 3rd day that I knew something was up. It turns out that there was actually the Demon Brothers, some Miss Chunin Nuknin, had been hired to take out our client, and then I decided to see how the team would handle it without men, and I faked my own death to see where the Chunin attacked Naruto. Naruto then used a wind release attack and broke the chain of the 2 Chunin. After that, both Naruto and Sasuke battled the 2 Chunin via the use of taijutsu. In the end, I apprehended the Chunin and sent a message to you to get some ANBU to pick up the Demon Brothers and take them to prison. This is where it gets weird. The client then went on about how Gara from Gara Shipping Company was holding the whole entire wave country under a tyranny thanks to using illegal methods to create monopolies. When the man tried to guilt our team into taking the mission, Naruto spoke in a cold fashion to Tazuna about how the client dying would be good character building for the kid. When we left off for home, my female student asked Naruto why he did what he did, because she was scared that Naruto was deviating a little too quickly from what he once was into, something somewhat akin to Orochimaru. Though Naruto said something that will ease my mind on comparing Naruto to Orochimaru. He said that he had been reading on what a Kage should do, and Naruto did what was best for Konoha. I would like to request a few more missions that we can take on the road after making a stop in Konoha to pick the scrolls up, so that I can see just how far Naruto is changing and whether it is a cause for concern and if I should do something about it. Kakashi Hatake. After finishing writing the on the paper, Kakashi silently summoned Bisuke to take the message and deliver it to the Sandaime Hokage via the summons world so that Hiruzen could have knowledge on why the mission went haywire. This was all done without Sasuke, Sakura, or Naruto finding out, as they were all sleeping like a rock, although Naruto had not gotten control of his habit of moving around whilst he slept. Thankfully, he was in a fairly tight sleeping bag which compensated for the moving around. Having arrived in the village for mere moments, enough for Kakashi to get some mission scrolls, Team 7 was on their way out again. Once they were down at the main gates of Konoha, Kakashi spotted the old couple casually sitting down on the bench as they held hand in hand, which clearly showed that they were happy and liking their time in Konoha. It was then that the silver-haired jonin walked up to the couple and started speaking to them. "Hello, my name is Kakashi Hatake and I, along with my students, are going to be the ninjas that you hired. I hope that you are happy and are alright with that?" Kakashi said in a lightly questioning tone of voice. This was just fine with the couple, as it gave them some time to spend with children who were the ages of what their possible grandchildren could have been if their son had not died in the Third Shinobi War. Since they never had grandchildren to spoil, combined with the fact that they were fairly well off, when the elderly couple went on holidays, they always made it a point to hire a genin team. This was so that they could spend time with children, as the ninja children generally were a bit more mature compared to what civilian kids of the same age would be. It was the female civilian out of the couple that spoke up to Kakashi. "Yes, that is alright. I hope that your students are well-mannered, because kids at that age can be very unruly." The reason why last part was said was because on their way from their town in the south of Fire Country on the water's edge, they had the unfortunate luck in having to have the mighty Mato guy as the Jonin sensei. That mission was one that they would rather forget. "Yes, my students are well-mannered and will be happy to guard you in the event of a bandit or even some low-trained ninja," Kakashi said in a tone that made the client's reassurance that they would be getting home safely go up. It was then that they noticed the three students standing a bit off to the left of the sensei, who they guessed were their students. Looking over at them, the elderly couple were instantly pleased that there were no signs of whack job tendencies in the team compared to the last team that they had the pleasure of doing business with. Those green spandex suits would cause horrific nightmares for many more nights to come, not to mention that sunset as well. It was nearly all too much and made Kumiko have a heart attack at the sight. "Right then, how about we get the mission started then, shall we?" Kakashi questioned to the elderly couple, who smiled and nodded and got up with a slight bit of difficulty and picked up their bags so that they could finally get home. After having gotten past Kotetsu and Izumo, Team 7 along with their clients set out to the south of Fire Country. Naruto, seeing the trouble that the couple was going through, thought that the mission would go faster if the two old people didn't have to lug around all of their luggage with them. That was why he called the proceedings to a stop and got out a scroll from his backpack. Starting a conversation with the clients, Naruto started speaking. "Would you like me to seal away your luggage so that you don't have to worry about dragging it along yourselves?" Naruto asked in a polite tone, as he felt that it was prudent to get more experience working with clients since the last failed mission. The smile that was on the woman's face was one that Naruto was definitely not used to and felt uncomfortable. This was paramount when said lady walked up to him and enveloped him in a big hug. Releasing him from the confines of her chest, Kumiko spoke in a cheerful tone when addressing Naruto. "Oh my, do you see here, Mizuno? These Konoha shinobi are such nice people. Back in my day, the ninjas didn't even offer to help the client, and yet, the last two times we've needed ninjas, we've gotten such great people. Even if the last group with that weird green spandex kid and his even weirder green spandex wearing sensei were total nutjobs who should be in the mental ward at the hospital, they were such nice people in offering to get us to Konoha quicker." Kumiko beamed, as she definitely liked the treatment she was receiving from Naruto. Kakashi for his part couldn't help but snicker at the way his client spoke of Guy, so much so that it made Kumiko turn on him. "Oh, you there, what's so funny?" the elderly lady said, as she was confused as to why Kakashi was chuckling. With an eye smile, Kakashi replied to the client, a client so nice that he had a hard time remembering the last time they were so outgoing and friendly. "Oh, it's just that I have to work with the nutjob, green spandex wearing sensei who needs to go to the mental ward on a regular basis, and that, by far, is the best description that anyone has come up with to describe him." Not really sure what to say to that, Naruto and Kumiko turned their attention to the luggage, in which the civilian of the pair watched how Naruto stored their luggage into the scroll before putting it into his backpack. "There, all done," Naruto said with a small smile on his face. Wishing that she knew what Naruto had just done so that she could do it herself, the old lady grinned and gave Naruto a big hug. Scoffing at the attention that Naruto was receiving, Sasuke knew that what Naruto had just done was not special at all, so he wondered why Naruto was getting so much attention. XXX. In the end, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke learnt a lesson on the mission that went for 3 days. In some cases, your mission does not have to have any excitement in them. In fact, most missions that were ranked as a C-class mission did not have many forms of excitement, as they are mostly just for the security in case something does go wrong. This was highly visible in the third ever mission that Team 7 went on, as nothing happened and most of the time was spent between the elderly couple trying to get to know the Genin team. When they got the message that Sasuke was a very antisocial person in life, they stopped trying to speak with him and just spoke with Kakashi, Naruto, and Sakura instead. For some strange reason, in the eyes of Sasuke, he was feeling a pang of emotion that he had not felt in a long time. That was the feeling of watching people around him have fun, and yet here he was by himself, although this time it was his own doing, and it was something that Sasuke somewhat regretted. With the unsealing of the client's luggage and waving goodbye, it meant that it was time to say goodbye, and Naruto was the happiest he had ever been whilst on a mission. The clients treated him like a normal kid and he loved it. Since we have to have the mission done by the week, as that is the deadline, it gives us enough time to learn a new chakra control exercise, allowing your jutsus to be even more effective. This is an exercise that should be especially easy for you, Sakura, since you have such great chakra control. What Kakashi decided not to mention was the fact that the only reason Sakura had such good chakra control was because she had so little of the substance. Alright, what you are going to learn today is called water walking. All of Team Kakashi were giddy at the new training exercise because no matter how old you were, walking on water was something that never lost its appeal. Hearing that you could get so good that you might have to fight on water as if it was the land was fuel to the determination of Sasuke and Naruto, hoping to get to that point. Wading in ankle-deep water, Naruto juggled the balance of chakra required, hoping to get this down as soon as possible. XXX. Once everyone was in position and ready to carry out their mission's orders, Kakashi used the hands-free radio system to initiate the plan. It was go time, and the bandits that were trying to make some easy money by stealing a few rich kids had no idea what was coming their way as they got swiftly taken out by the flying pieces of metal courtesy of Naruto and Sasuke. Thanks to Naruto finding out that he was actually left-handed compared to the right-handed that he had always been led to believe, thanks to Konoha's Ninja Academy, Naruto now had the proper means to control the power behind his throws and make them deadly accurate. This was paramount in the way that the three kunai that Naruto had thrown went sailing through the air at speeds that only a Chunin-level ninja would be able to spot, let alone dodge towards his enemy, and sunk into the flesh right in the neck where it would be instant death. Snakes kill, it's survival of the fittest, and I did what needed to be done. Sakura for her part did pretty well at seeing the bodies drop to the ground and quickly ran towards the kids and got them to stop crying as she took control over the situation and issued them towards safety. Jumping down in front of Sakura, both Naruto and Sasuke heard how there was a noise, and then about a minute later, rushing towards where the two male genin were standing, were about roughly 10 bandits. The thing that both shocked and excited Naruto and Sasuke. They were Konoha missing nins. With a look shared between the two, Naruto and Sasuke instantly knew what the other was thinking. Going through hand signs, Naruto and Sasuke called out their respective jutsus. Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Fire Release, Grand Fireball Jutsu, Sasuke shouted as he put his tiger hand sealed hands to his mouth and released an even bigger fireball compared to what his previous best was, thanks to his new training in water walking. It was much the same with Naruto, as he definitely did not expect for his wind release ninjutsu to be as powerful as he was. Futon, Fudangan no Jutsu, Wind Release, Air Bullet Jutsu. This was why there was a look of awe on both his and Sasuke's face as they watched their combined masterpiece decimate the enemies. It was unfortunate in the eyes of the genin missing ninjas that there was only 4 people that lived from the fireball that had just claimed the lives of 6 bandits, and with everyone else that survived sustaining fairly significant injuries to all over their bodies. Not being one to not take advantage of a situation that he was in, Naruto charged it from what he could guess was a missing ninja from the Akimichi clan at his fastest speed, since he knew that they traded power for speed, and that was what he was trying to use to win his battle. Not wanting to be outdone by someone that he now considered a rival, since Naruto was rapidly growing stronger by the day and was catching up to him, Sasuke launched at his opponent, who coincidentally was a member of the Hyuga clan, and from what Sasuke could tell, he was a branch member, as he had his forehead protector around his forehead, not wanting to display his swastika-shaped Juinjutsu. Finally, I now have someone that I can test my Sharingan on. It's even better that this person is a Hyuga so that I can prove why my bloodline is so much better than their pathetic Byakugan. Closing his eyes for a second so that he could gather up the necessary chakra to turn on his Sharingan, Sasuke opened his eyes to show that the pupils had now changed from an obsidian black to a red backing with a black iris along with 2 tomos in each eye. Shouldn't you activate your Byakugan? Sasuke said with Sharingan eyes as he looked down to the person that he thought had the inferior dojutsu. The sight of raw anger spreading across the face of his opponent was something that made Sasuke instantly know that his Hyuga enemy couldn't actually activate his clan's prized dojutsu. Haha, you became a missing ninja all because you couldn't unlock some inferior second-rate bloodline? Allow me to show you what someone can do when they have a real dojutsu. Sasuke proudly said as he channeled some chakra into his eyes which made them glow red. Growling in anger at the insult, the 18-year-old genin missing ninja that hailed from the Hyuga clan charged at the lone Uchiha as he only saw rage as he tried to take down the kid from the opposing clan. With Naruto. Naruto for his part just before he was about to go into battle with the Akimichi remembered what Choji was like when he got called fat and went into blind rage until the person that called him fat was not moving. This gave him the clear message not to antagonize his enemy on his weight as it would make him run on adrenaline which would make him faster than normal, and since Naruto would be relying on his speed to get the win, he wanted to have every advantage as possible. Looking at the confident and what some people would call arrogant expression on the face of the Akimichi clan member, Naruto chose to use this in his favor as in life he was used to being underestimated in his fights and in life in general only for him to overcome these odds, so that part of the fight was nothing new to Naruto. Using his academy-style cookie-cutter taijutsu, Naruto charged in at his opponent who looked as if he was going to toy with Naruto. It was then that when the blonde-haired boy got close to him did he truly realize just who his opponent was. Oh, I'm versing the demon, how wonderful is that? When I kill you and send your rotting corpse back to Konoha, I will be upgraded from a measly C-ranked missing nin and into at least a B-ranked one. The rotund recently turned adult in the eyes of a civilian said menacingly as he dodged the punch coming from Naruto and countered with his own punch, this one though having much more power behind it compared to Naruto's. Dodging the punch from the Akimichi, Naruto saw that he would get nowhere at all against an Akimichi since his punches didn't pack anywhere near as much force as what his enemies did. This was why he pulled out 2 kunais from his kunai holster and held them both in a reverse grip and re-engaged his opponent. Still being cocky at the fact that he thought that there was no way he could lose, the Akimichi kept at his new attack which was using his Hijitsu, Buban Baika no Jutsu, Akimichi clan secret jutsu, partial expansion jutsu, using both of his arms to attack Naruto with as he was lazy and wanting to take the fight seriously since he guessed that it was Naruto's first real fight. Naruto taking advantage of the sloppy attacking jammed the kunai in his left hand right into the right forearm of the Akimichi man. To make matters worse for the large man, Naruto was unconsciously channeling wind-natured chakra into the pieces of metal. The slight augmentation of the blade's cutting ability made it so that the whole blade of the kunai went straight through the flesh and in between the 2 bones that made up that Akimichi's right forearm. Howling in pain, the rotund man quickly cancelled his jutsu and brought his arms back to normal size so that he could prepare his next jutsu which would end the match, as he thought that it was unbeatable thanks to the small space that he and the demon were fighting in thanks to the high cliffs surrounding them. Doing his hand signs despite the immense pain that he was feeling in his right arm, the Akimichi called out the technique that he thought that would end the match. Since his way of ending the match was a twofold jutsu combination, the Akimichi man called out the first move. Hijitsu, Baika no Jutsu, Akimichi clan secret jutsu, expansion jutsu. The teenager who was fat before called out as he now had changed his appearance into that of a sphere with arms, legs and a head instead of a human. With done, the man called out the other part of his plan in killing the demon and getting heaps of praise from his former home. Hijitsu, Nikuden Shinsha, Akimichi clan secret jutsu, human bullet tank jutsu. The man called out as his arms, legs and head all came inside the sphere and charged straight for Naruto. Dodging the large ball coming at him, Naruto looked around to see if there was anything that he could use for his advantage to get the thing to stop. Seeing the rocky cliff faces that surrounded him, Naruto came up with the perfect idea to win the fight. Seeing that there was a point in which the 2 cliff faces that he and Sasuke were fighting in, Naruto put his plan into motion in getting the Akimichi to be permanently put to sleep. Dodging the bouncing off of the walls of the cliffs on either side of him, Naruto purposely dodged by going backwards into the point in which the 2 cliffs met as he baited the rolling ball to where he wanted it to go. When Naruto was in the final position that would spell the end for the Akimichi, Naruto waited for the right moment in which he timed his jump to near perfection as he jumped with the chakra enhancing his muscles and just got high enough to dodge the large rotund ball. Falling down onto his feet as he faced the behind of the Akimichi ball as it neared the dead end of the cliffs, Naruto did his jutsu. Forming his hands in the snake seal, Naruto pushed them out from the core of his body as he called out the name of the technique. Futon, de Tapa. Wind release. Great breakthrough. The blonde-haired boy called out as he made the massive gust of wind generate from his hands and pushed it towards the ball, making its speed increase exponentially. That was why it was no surprise to Naruto that when the sphere of flesh collided with the cliff at such speeds that it created G-forces in excess of over 25 Gs. This was created by the sudden stop when colliding at a speed that he could not bounce off and had to take the full impact head-on. This amount of horizontal G-force came with enough pressure that it broke the spinal column of the Akimichi man. Not wanting to take a chance even if his enemy had been defeated, Naruto got out a kunai from his pocket and threw it hard and fast, watching how the metal impacted with the windpipe of the Akimichi and watched him die within a few seconds. Despite having just murdered the man, the Uzumaki liked to think he had a code. Jumping onto one of the cliff faces, he placed a ceiling tag on the wall and let it explode, giving the enemy ninja a burial. XXX. Wanting to test out how good his Sharingan was in battle, Sasuke activated his bloodline limit and charged at the Hyuga ninja. Feinting to the right with him jabbing forward with his right hand, Sasuke telegraphed such a blatant attack that his opponent got cocky. It was only when it was too late did he see the other hand clock his jaw. Growling, the Hyuga leapt back as he prepared himself mentally to take it up a notch. 5 minutes later and there was still no clear-cut person who had the advantage going by the facial expressions on the faces of Sasuke and his opponent. Two of them were both panting as Sasuke's endurance was slowly wearing down and the Hyuga was not much better as he constantly had to use chakra to fuel his formidable taijutsu style. I need to get better at lasting longer in fights, Sasuke thought to himself. Jumping back, Sasuke went through a string of hand seals. Fire release, Grand Fireball Jutsu. Expecting his opponent to dodge the fireball coming towards him, Sasuke waited patiently. Seeing him jump to the left, Sasuke used the replacement jutsu to close the gap. Normally it was used as a defensive technique. Lightning release, false darkness jutsu, Sasuke called out as he watched the small bit of fear etch onto the face of his enemy before he tried to dodge the attack. Despite the attack not being at full power, it was still powerful enough that the lightning pierced through his rib cage and went through a lung. Happy that it wasn't him that was on the receiving end of the jutsu, Sasuke also had the dream that instead, it was Itachi on the receiving end. It was then that the voice of Kakashi ran into his ears and made the Uchiha boy turn his attention to his sensei. Bravo Sasuke, bravo, you did well in that fight. I must say that I am surprised that you can use lightning release techniques. If I was to guess by the way that you did the jutsu, I would say that lightning was your element instead of fire the Uchiha clan is so famous for. Kakashi mused to his student who didn't know what to feel. Having a question on his mind, Sasuke spoke up wanting to get answers. What was that big noise a while ago? Did you have to fight an enemy or something? Sasuke asked, doubting that either of his teammates were capable of that. Oh, that was the culmination of Naruto's battle with his opponent. Kakashi said in his usual aloof tone as he watched Sasuke's face to see what would happen. He was not surprised when he saw the anger come in spades before it quickly disappeared into that of an arrogant smirk. Humph, if I hadn't wanted to test out my Sharingan out and get better with it, I could have easily ended my battle faster than what Naruto did. Sasuke and Kakashi made their way over to where Naruto and Sakura were at so that they could finish up and collect their payment for the completion of the mission. Taking the offer of hospitality, Team 7 were treated to a home-cooked meal, a shower and nice warm beds. XXX. 5 days later and Team Kakashi was now at the capital of the Fire Country and were waiting for their security clearance to go through and allow them to gain access to meet the Fire Daimyo. Naruto, since you want to become the Hokage, you will have to pay attention here since the person we are meeting is the Dun that gives you your funding and missions to run Konoha. You don't want Konoha to turn out like Sunagakure in that your daimyo gives most of your missions away to neighboring countries just because you managed to annoy your boss. Kakashi stated as he thought that it would do Naruto good to get some familiarity with the man. Nodding at what his sensei had just said, Naruto took the time to go over in his head everything he could think of, so as to follow this conversation. Getting the nod from the samurai that were standing guard at the front door, Kakashi walked in to get the document. "Hello Daimyo-sama, it has been quite a while since we have last met." Kakashi politely stated, yet while still being respectful, as it was the easiest way to start a conversation with the man that he remembered from past experiences. "Oh, now I remember that teenager from a long time ago who looked just like you, and he came with Minato-kun to the party I hosted for his inauguration to the position of Hokage." The man who was slightly oblivious in remembering who was in front of him. "Yes, Daimyo-sama, that was me back then, as I came along thanks to Minato-sensei, who invited me and his then-girlfriend at the time, Kushina." The silver-haired jonin stated to the man who he was confident in that he wouldn't associate Naruto. "Ah, it is such a sad thing that Kushina-chan and Minato-kun are no longer among the living." "Oh, if you called Minato-kun Minato-sensei, then you must be Kakashi-kun, the son of Konoha's White Fang no less." "Wow, Kakashi-kun, you sure have grown up since I last saw you. It seems that your final growth spurt was very kind to you, wasn't it?" the fickle and indecisive man questioned to Kakashi, who just smiled and started his reply. "Yes, I wish Minato-sensei and Kushina-chan were still alive, but alas, things can't always go your way," Kakashi said in a wistful tone of voice. "Well, I am sure that you are the fire daimyo, you must have a lot on your plate and be very busy, so I think it would be best that if we handed you the scroll so that you can get on with your no doubt hectic schedule ahead of you." The silver-haired jonin stated, as from what he had learned from the Sandaime was that the fire daimyo was someone that was easily persuaded. As soon as they were done with their meeting inside the office of the Land of Fire's daimyo, it was then that Sakura, since she had free time in Foreign City, did the best thing that she could think of. That was to ask her beloved onto a date. "Hey Sasuke-kun, would you want?" Sakura said to the raven-haired Uchiha, who cut her off before she finished speaking. "You are worse than Naruto." This comment completely shattered the girl's confidence, as she thought that no matter how good Naruto got, he would still be the dead last of the class, as everyone else around him would get better as well. Her delirium was shaken off by what Sasuke said next. "If you have time to prepare yourself in the morning, which takes forever, then you have enough time to go and train," Sasuke said before walking off so that he could go and find a place in which he could build up his stamina and chakra reserves. With new determination to train instilled into her by her crush, Sakura went back to where Kakashi and Naruto were and started talking to her sensei, interrupting whatever conversation that might have been going on between Naruto and Kakashi. "Kakashi-sensei, how do you build your chakra reserves so that you have more chakra?" Sakura questioned to her sensei, as right now it was the first time she was taking an active interest in training, and she guessed that her sensei was shocked. Indeed, the man known as Kakashi Hatake was shocked. So was Naruto, who was standing right there next to his sensei. Being the person who he is, something that Kakashi said to annoy people was said, as he didn't believe what he had just heard. "Huh, you say something?" the silver-haired jonin asked his only female student. Blushing in embarrassment for a reason she did not know, Sakura pressed on to get the information that she wanted. "I said, how do you build your chakra so that you have more of the energy?" Sakura questioned to her sensei, who had just gotten over the shock of Sakura actually wanting to train. "Oh, so you're actually taking your training seriously, Sakura-chan?" Kakashi mused, as he wanted to see her reaction. He was not surprised when he saw how Sakura blushed at the obvious fact that she hadn't been taking her shinobi training seriously up until now. "Well, training for larger chakra reserves is like training a muscle. I am sure you know how the muscle structure inside the body works, since you have a lot of knowledge inside that head of yours, right?" Kakashi questioned, to which Sakura nodded in thanks and ran off to get her training started, as she had just the exercise in mind that would increase her chakra reserves. "So, you being trained by the Yondaime Hokage, huh? Is that the reason why you are such a good ninja, Kakashi-sensei?" Naruto questioned, as he wanted to know what it was like having a Hokage in the making training you. "Minato-sensei was a great man, and I would have liked him even if he wasn't my sensei. About your question though, it doesn't matter how skilled your teacher is, well, not at your level anyway, only if you are at the level of Jonin and you want to further your skills, you will need someone with innate knowledge on a subject to get better at it. The point I am trying to make is that, if I had absolutely no interest in training you because I thought of you as the fox, I would be a worse teacher than Irika, your Chunin sensei at the academy, since he would be more willing to help you. Kakashi said to Naruto, who nodded but immediately followed up with a new question. So then, is there a specific reason as to why you only train us if we ask you to train us? Naruto questioned as he remembered that Kakashi had never offered to teach the team anything apart from teamwork from the day that they had first met unless he had specifically asked for help. Unperturbed by Naruto calling him out on his lack of teaching abilities, Kakashi had a reply in store for Naruto that would ease his mind. There is one thing that you and the rest of your team have to have before I will train you to be better ninjas, and that is the initiative to come to me and ask for some training where there is no real point in training. You and Sasuke have shown initiative by going out and learning new jutsus and so forth. What's the point of me just handing out free jutsus to you and Sasuke, other than to overinflate your ego? Kakashi mused, getting Naruto to think. I could drive all three of you into the ground just like I did with all of the new recruits into ANBU, but you actually have to want to become a better ninja, or otherwise all of the training was in vain and was a waste of my time. Kakashi said to Naruto, who nodded and thanked his sensei for the insight. Well then, Kakashi-sensei, would you be possibly willing to train me in getting my speed better, because I read a book at the library and it stated that it was usually the fastest shinobi that won the battle, because what's the point of having a jutsu that the enemy can dodge? Naruto questioned, as having someone to teach him and solely him was something that Naruto. Sure. Kakashi said as he put his book in his pocket so that he and Naruto could get down to the meat of their training. XXX. Okay Naruto, you can stop now. You have done enough to make me impressed, Kakashi said as he felt that Naruto had done enough to earn a Chunin promotion just from that battle strategy at the end there. That was something to think about in the near future as they were coming up, and it would be good to get Sakura out of her fangirl state, and hey, one of his students might even get lucky. Running up to his sensei, Naruto was panting hard as he was struggling to keep consciousness since he had just used a buttload of chakra and was practically out of all of the substance. So Kakashi-sensei, how did I do just then? Naruto asked as he wanted feedback so that he could review the fight in his head and find out what to do next time to make him a better shinobi. Well, you did excellent for a ninja who had just come out of the academy only 5 months ago. A performance like that in a Chunin exam final would normally be enough to become Chunin, although I think the judges might be a little harsh given just who you are. Kakashi bluntly stated as he felt that Naruto needed to learn the reality of the life of a ninja. There were even more things that Kakashi believed that Naruto deserved to know now that he was getting much more mature and could probably handle the news of who his parents were, but since he was not the Hokage, he did not have the right to make that decision. Dismissing his musing thoughts, Kakashi watched as Naruto struggled to stand. Naruto, you might want to go and get some food as you look like you're about to pass out from a lack of chakra inside your body, which is needed for it to run properly. Nodding at the statement that came from Kakashi-sensei, Naruto went over to where he had placed his backpack down by a tree. Instead of the 3 ration bars and a protein shake, Naruto was now eating 8 nutrient bars and 2 protein shakes. XXX. Over the course of the next 3 hours, Naruto got exercises drilled into him that made his body protest. So much so, that Naruto questioned the level of intensity he had previously put into every other workout. Whenever Naruto would use a muscle to the point of exhaustion, Kakashi would switch the exercise so that he could focus on a different set of muscles and develop them to the point of exhaustion, only to once again change to a new muscle. With Naruto absolute drained of all will to move his body even an inch, Kakashi thought that it was high time that he got Naruto started on learning how to detect, dispel, and eventually cast Genjutsu. The most important thing that comes to mind where it concerns all forms of Genjutsu is that attention to all of the small details is paramount. Kakashi started off his lecture as he watched Naruto groan and get up, walk over to his backpack and pull out a book that was titled Notes for Learning. Getting over the fact that Naruto was taking notes, Kakashi got back into lecture mode, once which he seemed to do fairly often. The reason why attention to detail is so important for Genjutsu is twofold. The first being that you need to pay constant attention to your surroundings so that you can spot if something is not what it should be or in case something is out of place, which are the easiest ways to notice if you are caught in a Genjutsu. Kakashi said as he watched how Naruto's comprehension skills were great for someone who wasn't a civilian kid who had all of the lessons at school in comprehension. The other reason as to why it is such an important thing is because you need to have that same level of awareness to make sure that nothing is out of the ordinary in the genjutsus that you use so that your enemy is able to realize that they're in a genjutsu and try and break free from them. Kakashi said, to which Naruto wrote down in his book. New heading: Naruto, Breaking Genjutsus. There are 4 main ways to break out of a genjutsu, but we will be only covering 3 of them since the QB inside of your stomach would affect your ability to do the last one. The Sharingan warrior stated, to which Naruto frowned and hoped that the other ways would be good enough to compensate as he tried to make the best out of tough situations. The easiest way to break out of a genjutsu is a way that you will only use at a last resort if all other means fail, okay? While Kakashi formed this statement in the form of a question, Naruto knew enough as this was not a question at all, it was law. Nodding, Naruto prepared himself for whatever it was. The easiest way to break out of a genjutsu is to induce yourself in severe pain that at the messages that your nervous system sends to your brain overload the place where your senses meet the brain and break out of the genjutsu that way. This way is probably going to be the easiest way for you thanks to the fact that you have unnatural amounts of chakra at such a young age. This is to send your chakra out in a concentrated wave using the ram hand sign and break all genjutsus in a surrounding area. Kakashi said and waited in case Naruto had a question to ask about combating genjutsu so far. Getting Naruto out of his reverie, Kakashi spoke up. The other main form of having a genjutsu broken is to have someone nearby and have them inject a small amount of their chakra into your pathways to overcome the disturbance in chakra. Kakashi said as he finished his lecture, but not before remembering something that would do well for Naruto to learn. Oh, this is something that would specifically help you, Naruto. It has been said that if someone has full control over the demon inside of them, they are able to use the beast's chakra and inject it into their system to flush out the genjutsu. The silver-haired Jonin lectured, to which Naruto looked fascinated and was wondering how he would manage to gain control over the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Now Naruto put the book down as this next lesson has no theoretical part to it whatsoever, the masked ninja said to Naruto, to which the blonde-haired boy nodded and looked at his sensei to see what the next lesson he was going to learn was. What you will now learn is how to use your chakra to expand out of your body and get rid of all nearby genjutsus. Now what you need to do is just gather 5 shadow clones worth of chakra and expel that out in all directions from your body. Kakashi lectured to his student. What Naruto did not know was that this was also the basic training done for ANBU members who want to attain the rank of captain, as chakra sensing is a requirement, as you have to be sure that no one can sneak up on you. It was not hard for Naruto to learn this, in fact it was something that Naruto learned first go and he would only get better at it. Channeling chakra all around his body, Naruto was able to dispel a B-rank genjutsu as Kakashi had subtlety casted one on Naruto to see how good he was at getting out of them. For someone who was having his first day of learning how to break a genjutsu, Naruto was a genius in the eyes of Kakashi. Thinking about it, Kakashi wouldn't hesitate to guess that Naruto was a genius when it came to the ninja arts. It was just that his early potential was severely hampered thanks to the Konoha education system. Finally, after the hardest ever training session that Naruto had ever been through was done, Kakashi and Naruto headed to the hotel which had been part of their mission for the first night of their stay in the Fire Country capital. Turning around, Naruto was surprised to find that there were actually people who were dumb enough to think that hiding underneath a cardboard cutout of a rock would be a good enough stealthy approach so that he wouldn't know that someone was following him. Annoyed that whoever was underneath it was highly underestimated him, Naruto quickly used a low-power wind release, great breakthrough jutsu to blow whoever it was that was underneath the cardboard box out into the open 5 meters down the street from where he was. To Naruto's surprise, there was 3 kids that had just come out of the box, all around the age of 8 or 9. Looking over at them, Naruto noticed that they had a smoke bomb and must have dropped the bomb when they were blown away and were now suffering the consequences of that action. After a while, the 3 kids got up from where they were and ran over to Naruto and decided that since they hadn't introduced themselves to Naruto yet, and decided that they should go and do that right now. Doing a pose that would have shown off any curves that her body had if she had them, the only girl from the trio spoke up. "I'm Moegi and I am the sassiest kunoichi from preschool, check me out," the newly announced Moegi stated with a fangirl-like voice as she held her hand out. What that meant, Naruto had no idea and would just go along as if nothing had ever happened. It was then that Naruto was greeted with the sight of the boy that was on the left from where he was facing, there was a boy that was wearing a dark blue top and had a big loogie coming out of his nose. "I love algebra, call me Udon," the sniveling boy called out as he put his hands into what was similar to one of the poses that Naruto saw those music people use in their TV videos. Seeing the snot coming from the boy, Naruto was highly disgusted that the kid had such poor personal hygiene but would not say anything as he didn't want to embarrass the boy in front of his friends as he had first-hand experience in what that felt like and wouldn't make someone else suffer from bullying if he could help it. The final person of the group was none other than the Sandame's grandson from what the pictures in the library books had when they showed living relatives of the most powerful ninjas that Konoha had to offer. Wondering what he of all people was doing bothering to talk to someone so low-class like him, Naruto decided to wait and find out what the kid wanted so he could go and train. It was then that the third person of the group spoke up. "And I'm the #1 ninja in the village." Konohamaru, the brown-haired boy, shouted out as he proudly stood with a pose, though what he did not know was that he was almost about to trip over his scarf if he wasn't careful enough. Once they had each done their individual introductions, the grandson of the Sandame Hokage along with his two friends spoke up in unison with each other. "And when we're all together, we are the Konohamaru Ninja Squad," the three kids stated as they posed together. Watching the scene that was being played out in front of him, Naruto wondered whether or not his sensei had managed to slip one of those hallucinogenic plants into his body, which was causing him to watch some fucked up shit going on right before his eyes. It took a while, but the blonde-haired ninja eventually got his bearings right and managed to reply to the three kids in front of him. "And what was the purpose of coming all the way out here to meet with me?" Naruto stated, wanting to know how long he had to put up with this blatant form of childlike behavior and stupidity. Not caring about what Naruto had just said to him, Konohamaru decided to reply to Naruto. "My grandpa, the guy who is the Sandame Hokage, promised that you would play ninja with us." The boy pouted as he never minded using his grandfather's fame to get what he wanted, as he was a spoiled child through and through. It was then that Sakura heard what Konohamaru had just said and misheard it, thinking that Naruto himself had agreed to play ninja with them. "What's this, a ninja playing ninja with kids? Talk about pathetic," Sakura said as she could not believe Naruto saying that. Slowly but surely he was getting better as a person, and then he goes and ruins it by doing something like that. She just didn't know what to believe when it came to Naruto nowadays. Seeing someone insult the person that his grandfather had told him to visit, Konohamaru instantly took the side of Naruto in this conversation, something that the blonde-haired boy was grateful for, as he had never had anyone do that for him apart from Irika on a few occasions. "Hey boss, who is this girl anyway?" Konohamaru said, which none of the Team 7 that was in the area bothered to reply to. Being an impressionable kid and not really knowing what flirting and love was, he came to a conclusion. The way that she is staring at Naruto, it's as if she is looking at him with daggers. It was as if a light bulb went off in the head of Konohamaru as he pieced things together. Rubbing his hand on Naruto's back, the brown-haired boy spoke up. "Oh, I get it now. Is she your girlfriend, boss? You're a smooth operator, huh, boss?" the scarf-wearing boy suggestively stated to Naruto with a grin and a wink marring his face. Not having much experience with the fairer sex to know what Konohamaru was talking about, Naruto had to wait until when Konohamaru finished his sentence before he got what the little boy was implying. "Is she your girlfriend, boss?" the boy said whilst holding up his pinky finger. "Why would I want to date someone like him when there are people out there like the great Sasuke-kun that would be so much better to be with?" Sakura stated as she wanted to get the point across that she in no shape or form did she like Naruto in that way. Seeing the harsh dismissal coming from Sakura, the brown-haired boy instantly changed his mind when it came to Naruto's aid. "What kind of girl are you, you gorilla?" "Yeah, now that I think about it, why someone like the boss would want to date such a girl with a humongous large forehead and flat-chested girl like you anyway? There are tons of other girls out there," Konohamaru stated as he looked at the way that Sakura was fuming. When Konohamaru said what he did, for some reason, Naruto's mind instantly pictured Karen-chan from Kyuzugakure, who was wearing a dress whilst having a large smile on her face. Quickly dismissing those thoughts, Naruto quickly dismissed them and realized the situation that Konohamaru had gotten himself into. "You might want to run away, Konohamaru, as it seems that you have bitten of more than you could chew," Naruto said, to which the 9-year-old boy nodded rapidly and turned around and started running in the opposite direction to which Sakura was at. Being the nice type of person that he was, Naruto decided that he should go and follow them up to make sure that nothing severe happens. It was lucky for him that he did that, as Naruto saw that there was not only Konoha shinobi inside the village hidden in the leaves at this current point in time. No, there was a couple of shinobi from the hidden sand village right inside of his village, and one of them happened to be the person that Konohamaru ran into when he turned around the corner in his hopes of running away from Sakura. "Ugh, you little shit, that hurt," the sand shinobi stated as he looked down upon the boy that had run into him. Konohamaru for his part was not in any condition to say anything other than grunt. Sakura, being the highly insecure person that she was, she thought that the situation at hand could be best solved with words and not with fists. "Hey, I'm sorry about what just happened, I was just messing around," Sakura feebly tried to say confidently as she was wondering just who in the world these people were. Seeing that Naruto was getting angry at someone being bullied right in front of his eyes as it reminded him of his childhood, Naruto ran at Kankuro in the attempt to stop the bullying that was taking place. Amused by the sight of Naruto running at him slightly faster than what he could safely handle if it was a taijutsu fight, Kankuro proudly boasted as he let out a chakra string in the attempt of tripping Naruto. "Huh, let's see how good these leaf genin are," Kankuro mused to himself. Feeling something grab a hold of his ankle and try and trip him over, Naruto used his skills learnt in water walking to get good grip on the ground as he made the chakra strings that were coming from Kankuro effectively useless. With the fact that Naruto had managed to shock the puppet user from Suna as he did not trip over like the boy intended, Naruto grabbed a kunai out of his hand and watched how a rock flew straight towards the Suna shinobi, knocking his hold on Konohamaru away. Seeing the opening that someone, probably Sasuke in Naruto's mind as they had good teamwork thanks to Kakashi, Naruto used the kunai in a jabbing motion to injure the enemy shinobi who was trying to hurt one of his future comrades. Not seeing that Naruto was holding a kunai until it was too late, Kankuro tried to dodge as best as he could but ultimately failed as he got a large gash along his right arm. Seeing that his job was done, Naruto picked up Konohamaru and used a chakra-enhanced jump to get out of the way and bring the grandson of the Hokage back into the safe area. It was then that a large killing intent filled the immediate area as a boy from a branch opposite to where Sasuke was had made his presence known. What made this even more impressive was that the boy was hanging upside down on the bottom of the branch. "You Kankuro are a disappointment to Suna," Gara stated in a monotone voice, to which Kankuro faltered and retreated back a fair distance as to show just how powerful his younger brother was. "How did he? That's Kakashi's level of stealth. I couldn't even sense him," were the thoughts going through the minds of the Konoha genin in the surrounding area. Opening his mouth to speak once again, there was a definite reduction of noise as everyone was listening to the words of this red-haired boy standing underneath the tree. "Losing yourself in a fight, you're pathetic. Why do you think we came to this village in the first place?" Gara stated in a bored tone as he asked a rhetorical question. Feebly trying to ignore the pain in his right arm and still keep a straight face when talking to his brother, the holder of the Ichibi no Shikaku, was a hard thing to do. "Look, Gara, they started it," Kankuro said as he rapidly tried to find the right words to say. Obviously they were not the right words to say judging from the reaction that came from the red-haired boy. "Shut up or I will kill you myself," Gara stated. Body flickered down to the pavement. Reappearing in the middle of his brother and sister, Gara had to go through the unnecessary listening to the pink-haired girl from Team 7's voice. With a voice that was quite loud in conjunction to the noises that he heard inside of his mind thanks to the Ichibi, Gara was not in a very good mood. "Hey, wait!" Sakura shouted as she got the attention of Team Sabaku and got them to turn around so that they could listen to what she had to say. "Judging from your forehead protectors, you are ninjas. From the hidden sand village, right?" Sakura questioned as she paused for a bit to get her thoughts right before speaking once again. "You may be allies with the hidden leaf village, but it is forbidden for shinobis to enter a foreign village without that village's permission. State your purpose. Depending on your answer, we may not be able to let you go," Sakura said in what she thought was a tough tone. For Temari though, she was someone that had to listen to Gara all the time, and what this fangirl, judging by her appearance, was as pathetic in its attempt to make them scared as a newborn kitten was at looking frightening. "Huh, talking about clueless, don't you know anything?" Both Naruto and Sasuke at this part were rapidly listening as to take in information that they probably should have known by now to see if it was something majorly important. You're right, we are Genins from the Hidden Sand Village. We have come to Konoha to participate in the biannual Chunin selection exam. Temari stated in a formal tone of voice that she had honed after getting lessons on the specific subject thanks to being the daughter of the current Kazekage. Before Temari could go into an explanation about how the Chunin exams took place as she decided to educate the pink-haired girl in case she didn't know, Sasuke jumped down from the tree branch and started talking. You, what is your name? The raven-haired Uchiha questioned. The blonde female fan-wielding ninja thought that this question was directed at herself and blushed at the thought of a hot guy like Sasuke asking for her name. You mean me? Temari questioned as she tried to hide her blush. Sasuke was ruthless in the rejection of Temari's question. No, you with the gourd. Sasuke stated as he stared down the container of the Ichibi no Shikaku. Gara Sabaku, the gourd-carrying boy, stated to Sasuke, who filed that information inside of his head. Not only was Sasuke filing away that information, but Naruto also was on the off chance that he might meet the guy again. Turning around so that he was facing roughly in the middle of where Sasuke and Naruto were, Gara replied with a question of his own. You too, Gara stated as he looked at both Naruto and Sasuke when he said this. I am also interested in your names. Gara said politely to both Naruto and Sasuke. With names exchanged, Gara and his team left the walkway. Using this distraction as a time to quickly make off with the grandson of the current Hokage being none the wiser, Naruto left so that he could do some training as he felt that he could do much more in terms of pushing his muscles to the limit than what he had time for in the morning. Not to limit himself to only taijutsu training for the day though, Naruto went to the library to pick up a book that focused on wind ninjutsu as he wanted to get even better with his ninjutsu, as that was the only real way for him to use his large chakra reserves efficiently in battle. Once Naruto hired the book on advanced wind ninjutsu for people wanting to become a Chunin and beyond, Naruto went to the Team 7 training ground where he knew that he wouldn't be disturbed as Sasuke always trained inside his clan compound and Sakura never trained at all. When Naruto was versing his sensei in their battle so that Kakashi could tell just how much Naruto had improved in a short amount of time, the blonde-haired boy found out that his shadow clones could use chakra for ninjutsu as well as being able to transfer all knowledge that they learned back to him, gave Naruto a radical idea that he thought would improve his training by massive amounts. That theory was that Naruto could have his clones training while he did his physical training, and when the clones dispelled, it would be as if Naruto managed to train both at the same time, thus drastically limiting his time training. Though because Naruto did not want to waste heaps of chakra in case his new training method did not actually work, the blonde-haired ninja limited himself to only using 25 or so clones instead of the 150 or so that he could potentially make for the training, as he didn't want to waste chakra for nothing. As to him, it was just as important as money was. This was lucky for Naruto, as the QB sealed inside of him would have used the opportunity to try and take over Naruto when he had little to no chakra to repel the fox's yokai. Reading over the book and finding out that the first exercise that was needed for learning new jutsus was to split a leaf via converting your chakra into a thin, sharp blade that would be sharp enough to cut through a surface of a leaf. Reading over that it worked best when the chakra was focused into two forces grinding against each other to get the cutting motion to be stronger, Naruto told all of his clones this, who nodded and took the hint to go and each grab a leaf from a tree and get to work on the training. Since Naruto did not have the stones that Kakashi had put the weight seals on, Naruto had to improvise and had found a large rock which was more or less the same weight as the training equipment that he once used before. Time skip, night time. After finishing his training to the point in which his muscles could barely hold their own weight, Naruto rested against a tree in the training ground and dispelled the shadow clone technique and felt the rush of information coming into him about how the clones had progressed in their wind composition training. Picking up one of the excess leaves, Naruto was curious how much he had learnt in a day, thanks to the shadow clone training method. Damn, I was hoping to cut it fully. Naruto thought to himself, looking at his handiwork, unaware it normally took people years to master elemental ninjutsu. There in the palm of his hand was a leaf that had a cut going down the center of it filled with rough edges. Glass half full, I managed to cut half the leaf. Having done his training for the whole day and well into the night after the brief encounter with Team Sabaku and the Konohamaru Corps, Naruto struggled to get back up and make his way. The next day. After waiting the customary 3 hours which their sensei never bothered to show up at, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke were greeted with the presence of their sensei, Kakashi Hatake. When Sakura had shouted enough that the displeasure from her alone was enough that on a normal team would cover all 3 members, Kakashi replied with the same type of stuff he normally did. I got lost on the road of life. Ignoring the shout of outrage coming from his female student, Kakashi spoke up to his team of genin. Well anyway, this might be sudden and all but I have nominated you 3 to compete in this year's Chunin exams. Kakashi said with a smile on his face although it was not seeable thanks to the mask that he wore over his face. Here are your nomination forms for the exams, though this is just a nomination, whether or not you want to take the exams is entirely up to you. Kakashi stated as he wanted to see whether or not Sakura would take part as he knew that she was the one that needed the most work in terms of brushing up on skills. XXX. Walking into the room they saw that there were many upon many chairs and tables indicating that they were going to be having some form of written test. As soon as Sakura walked in she felt heavily intimidated, her senses were screaming. She could feel the gaze of everyone watching as Team 7 walked through the door. That something was the fact that her former best friend now archenemy was jumping all over her crush in the attempt to get him to go out with her. Ino, opening her mouth started speaking to Sasuke. I haven't seen you in a while. I've been waiting in excitement to see you again, Sasuke-kun. Ino said in the best seductive voice that she could manage as she tried to win the heart of the Rookie of the Year. Seeing the look of displeasure on the face of Sasuke, Sakura thought that Sasuke hated Ino so much that he wanted to puke. Thus this was why she straight away jumped to the defense of her crush. Get away from Sasuke-kun, Ino pig! Sakura vehemently shouted to the blonde-haired girl, pressing what little breasts she had onto Sasuke's back. Seeing who it was that was calling her a pig, Ino saw that it was the girl who was her competition in getting Sasuke's affection. With a sneer, the blonde-haired girl replied to what Sakura had just said, oh, well if it isn't Sakura, big ugly forehead as always. Ino said the thing that Sakura was most self-conscious about in an attempt to get her to back down. Sadly that was not the case as the confidence that she had instilled into the girl to make her fight against anyone was used in the way that she didn't want to. That was Sakura using her confidence against Ino. Pulling her eyes back from her former best friend Sakura, Ino couldn't help but lock eyes with Naruto. Oh, you've changed. She noticed how Naruto was no longer wearing the hideous orange jumpsuit, he no longer screamed for attention and almost looked cool. Nice muscles too. I wonder if I can ask him for information on Sasuke. Before the squabble between 2 preteen girls began, there was a new voice that entered the conversation and turned everyone's focus on him. You guys are taking this stupid test too? Oh well, don't die. Shikamaru stated in a bored fashion before leaning up against the wall. Practically as soon as Shikamaru lay up against the back wall, there was a 4th voice that entered the conversation between the rookie 9. That voice was coming from the mouth of the Inuzuka clan heir, Kiba Inuzuka. Hey, I found you, Kiba called out in a loud voice that got the attention of Team 7 and Team 8 and drew it onto him. It was then that the painfully shy and meek Hinata Hyuga entered the conversation by stuttering a polite hello that was mostly directed at Naruto, who she was struggling to see the former academy student she remembered. He's changed so much. It seems that we are all assembled in the same place once again. The member of the Aburame clan stoically stated to the group as it was the first gathering since the Genin exams just about 6 months ago. It was then that Kiba saw the type of clothing that Naruto wore and pointed it out to everyone. Hey Naruto, what's with the new clothes, trying to act cool and be all like Sasuke team are you? The boy that had a dog sitting on top of his head arrogantly stated, drawing the attention of Ino, someone who was a major fashion critic. She noticed that he was wearing an olive oversized tee, draping over his body and finishing off the look with baggy black joggers. Damn, Naruto looks like he got a fashion sense. Annoyed at what people were saying about his choice in clothing, Naruto was a little snarky in his reply, although no one could tell as he hid his emotions fairly well. I've grown since then. Have you? Naruto mused, confident that he had grown more than Kiba. Just looking Kiba, Naruto could tell that he was mostly the same. Not taking the hint, Kiba spoke up once again. Hey, and what's with the new change in personality, Naruto? Kiba said in a tone that told Naruto that he did not buy the new transformation and still thinking that the blonde-haired boy was an attention seeker. Kiba, stop talking. Naruto said whilst holding an impassive look on his face. This action brought a snigger coming from Shikamaru as he now liked this new Naruto much more than the previous one he knew. Damn, he really has changed. I wonder what caused it. Her mind was racing a mile an hour, going through everything her father had taught her about psychology, trying to place the puzzle pieces together. Naruto, you are very interesting. Before Kiba or anyone else could start speaking, there was a voice coming from a person who was not a part of the Rookie 9 Ninja Squad. The person in question was wearing a pair of circular glasses that framed his face and showed off the silver hair that was in a ponytail. Hey, you guys should be more quiet. The boy with a leaf headband around his forehead said to the group of 9 ninja. As the kid who was obviously older than what Teams 7, 8, and 10 were said this, he walked over to them and tried to start a conversation. Looking at the man, Naruto guessed that he was in his late teens, early 20s. Paying extra attention to what this guy said, Naruto had this off feeling in his stomach saying that this guy was not someone that he wanted to get into a fight with at his current level. There was also the fact that his nose was twitching because there was something that was oddly familiar with his scent that reminded him of someone whose name had just escaped him. You guys are just rookies out of the academy, right? Screaming around like little girls, this isn't a picnic. The silver-haired genin in disguise stated as he looked directly at Sasuke, although no one could actually tell this as he was so far above their current level, it wasn't even funny. It was then that the Uchiha clan heir asked the funny-looking boy just who exactly he was. Who do you think you are? Sasuke said as he wanted to know if this was another strong competitor like Lee or Gara. Diffusing the tense situation with an almost carefree smile, the boy replied to the question of the current year's Rookie of the Year. My name is Kabuto Yakushi, and take a look around you. The aforementioned Kabuto said to the group of rookies. Doing what the silver-haired genin had just said, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke looked behind them and saw multiple people staring at them with contempt in their eyes as Naruto guessed it was because the books that he had read that it was quite rare for a genin team entering the Chunin exams in their rookie year. They are all from the hidden village in the land of rain, and they all have short tempers. Kabuto said as he used the stereotypes to the max when making this statement that Kiba took his face value when he looked at Kabuto and then at the rain village's genin. Well, I can't blame you after all, you guys are just rookie ninjas, you remind me of how I used to be. The silver-haired genin said melancholy in an attempt to gain the trust of the Sasuke as that was the orders that Orochimaru had given him. This gave Sakura a question that she wanted to know the answer to, and being the confident girl that she was, she asked Kabuto without a care in the world whether or not if this was her first time in Chunin exams. Based on his own experiences with faking emotions, Naruto got the impression that the one Kabuto was giving them was also fake. No, this is my 7th time as these events are held biannually and this is my 4th year competing. Kabuto said with a bit of embarrassment as felt ashamed that it took this long to get his promotion. What Kabuto said just now was something that made Naruto even wearier about the guy as something just didn't add up about this Kabuto person. Sakura didn't have the same unease that Naruto did. Wow, so you must know a lot about this exam then? Sakura questioned to the boy who just nodded and smiled. He Kabuto chuckled as he stopped laughing before he started speaking. Then I will share some info with you cute rookies with these ninja info cards. The silver-haired ninja stated to the trio. Naruto for his part was finding even more things about the guy in front of him that just didn't add up. Why would he be willing to give out free info on all of the competitors to us? Does this mean that he has a lot of information on us as well? Sakura, being a curious person by nature as she had spent time with Ino as a kid and developed her habit of wanting to know lots of information, which was probably why she spent quite a lot of time at the library. Ninja info cards, the girl questioned as she had never heard of them before. I have 4 years of information stored into these cards right here. Kabuto said as he gestured to the cards in his hand. They look blank at the moment, but to open these cards you need my chakra as it is impossible to do it any other way. Kabuto stated, to which the paper in front of him changed from the blank paper it once was. When the transformation was complete, Naruto looked down onto the paper and noticed that there was a fully detailed map of the elemental continent which showed how many people from attending the exams and which ninja village they hailed from. Seeing the use of the cards right in front of him, Sasuke asked a question to Kabuto. "Do you have information on individuals on these cards?" The non-too-polite boy asked the silver-haired ninja, and as his response he nodded. Chuckling at the question given to him by the Uchiha clan heir, Kabuto nodded and spoke up. He, do you have someone that you are worried about?" Seeing the forehead twitch on Sasuke's face, Kabuto knew that he had just struck a nerve. Dismissing this quickly, Kabuto started speaking to Sasuke. "Of course, I do have information on all of the participants, but it may not be perfect. Even you guys, say something about these guys and I will take a look for you, Sasuke-kun," the medic ninja stated as he looked at the raven-haired Uchiha. Gara Sabaku and Rock Lee was all that Sasuke said, as he wanted to know if there were any weaknesses about the two that he could exploit. Naruto for his part was intently listening as well to hopefully pick up any useful information on his combatants. Disappointed in the fact that there was no real challenge to that question, Kabuto voiced his thoughts to Team 7 before using a jutsu to reveal the information that Sasuke wanted. "Oh, so you know their names already? This won't be fun at all," the medic ninja stated as he looked at the cards, wondering what he would find about this Rock Lee person that his master's future body skin that interested Sasuke Uchiha so much. "Okay, first is Rock Lee. He's a year older than you guys. Mission history, D ranked completed, 28 C ranked completed, 12. His sensei is Guy. His taijutsu has improved greatly in the last year. Nothing else is worth mentioning," Kabuto said as he looked over to the other side and started reading from there. Last year he gained attention as being a talented genin, but he did not participate in the exams. Like you guys, this is his first time and his teammates are Niji Hyuga and Tenten, Kabuto stated, letting the information on Rock Lee sink in before he started talking about the boy known as Gara of the desert. The next one is Gara Sabaku. Mission history, C ranked completed, 8 B ranked completed, 1 as a genin. Since he is from a foreign country, I don't have much information on him, but get this, all of the missions he's completed, he hasn't ever gotten even so much as a scratch on the missions, Kabuto stated before he paused to catch his breath before starting his lecture. Konoha, Suna, Aim, Taki, Kusa, Oto, many outstanding geniuses from these villages are here to participate in the exam. Well, the Hidden Sound village is small village just created recently, so there isn't much info, but the rest of the hidden villages are filled with talented youngsters, Kabuto lectured, to which the confidence of Hinata dropped as she was fairly nervous. Hearing what the glasses-wearing ninja was saying about their village, there were 3 people from the village hidden in the sound that wanted to make a name for themselves. Did you hear what that guy said about Oto? How about we play with them for a little bit? Zako stated to Dosu and Kin, who nodded, albeit reluctantly for Kin as she didn't want to draw any attention to herself. Good idea, he calling us leftovers. How about we go over there and help him add into his info cards that shinobi from the sound village can be quite vicious. Dosa stated with an unkind gleam shining from his right eye, the only visible one as all of the others were covered in thick bandages. Dashing towards the silver-haired genin, Dosu prepared his melody arm to attack Kabuto with. Sadly, this did not happen as the Konoha ninja dodged the attack. This didn't matter though, as the weapon that Dosu was using to augment his taijutsu had an area of effect and the sound waves it produced were enough to destroy the glasses that Kabuto was wearing. Not only were the glasses destroyed, Kabuto dropped to the ground and unloaded the contents of his stomach onto the floor. When Naruto and Kiba saw the punch go towards Kabuto, they both heard a high-frequency noise, although it wasn't enough as to cause them any discomfort, let alone pain. How pathetic, especially if you are a 4-year veteran of the exams. Write this down on the cards: the 3 hidden sound ninja defeat future Chunins, Dosu proudly claimed, as he didn't want anyone underestimating his abilities. Before anyone could comment on what had just happened, there was a large plume of smoke in the middle of the room and caught everyone's attention. The reason behind the smoke was because this was the entrance method of the proctor of the first exam. It was none other than Ibiki Marino. "Quiet down, you worthless bastards," the special jonin shouted to the classroom, to which everyone nodded. "I am Ibiki Marino and thank you for waiting. I am the examiner for the first test you will undergo if you wish to become a Chunin. Ibiki said in a tone that made no one in the room question him. Seeing the mess that had been created because of the kerfuffle, the more experienced ninja spoke up. Hidden Sound Ninja, stop doing as you please before the exam. Do you want to fail already? Ibiki asked rhetorically, to which the 3 genin ninjas from the village hidden in the sound nodded mutely and stopped bullying Kabuto. Seeing that the best option in terms of getting to become a Chunin was to concede defeat, Dosa spoke up. I apologize, this is our first time and we got a bit carried away. The bandage-wearing boy stated to Ibiki, who just nodded and turned his attention elsewhere. Here's a good opportunity to say this. There will be no fighting without the permission of the examiner. Even if permission is granted, killing your opponent will not be tolerated. Those pigs that fail to obey this rule will be failed immediately. Do I make myself clear? As Ibiki said this, he was directly looking at the sound trio, as they were the ones that had started all the commotion. We will now begin the first test in this year's Chunin exams. Instead of your current seating arrangements, you will pick one of these tabs and sit in the seat assigned to you. We will then hand out the exams. It was then that, after the proctor had said this, everyone nodded and went over to the Ibiki and picked out their numbers on where to seat. Had Naruto been the same as what he was 6 months ago, he would have rushed forward to get his number, as he was an impatient kind of person. However, with Naruto not rushing to get his number, Hinata did not get to sit right next to him like she would have wanted to. Instead, Naruto got situated where he was sitting next to Shino and a random ninja from Takigakure. Preparing for the test in his mind, Naruto was confident that he would be able to combat any challenges thrown at him. Do not turn your tests over and listen carefully to what I have to say. There are many important rules to this test. I will write them on the board, but questions will not be allowed, so listen carefully. The first rule is that you guys will start off with 10 points. This test is made up of 10 questions. When Ibiki said this, Naruto's confidence grew, as he knew that he didn't have to answer many questions right, and with there being not as many questions, there was less of a chance that Naruto would find himself answering a question that he didn't already know. Each question is worth 1 point, but this test uses a subtraction system. Basically, if you answer all of your questions right, you will keep all of your 10 points, but if you miss 3 questions, you will lose 3 points and only have 7 points. Ibiki stated to the Chunin hopefuls. The reason for this is that during the exam, anyone caught by the testing officers doing sneaky activities, namely cheating, will have 2 points subtracted for every offense. So there will be some people who all their points during the exam and will be asked to leave. Realize this, the pathetic ones that get caught cheating will not only be destroying their chances at becoming a Chunin, but also that of their teammates. Ibiki said to all the people in front of him. And remember the final rule. Those that lose all of their points and fail to answer any questions correctly will be failed along with their 2 other teammates. Ibiki stated as he liked to put fear into the hearts of the Chunin hopefuls in front of him. The test will begin right now and it will end in 1 hour. Begin, the special Jonin from the Hidden Leaf Village shouted as he got the first exam underway. Sakura, for her part, her confidence was much higher than what she initially predicted, as she remembered that Naruto had gotten much smarter over the course of his tenure as a genin shinobi. Once having completed the cryptogram that was the first question, Naruto took the time to look up and see what exactly the people around him were doing and whether or not they were having a hard time with the questions just like he was. Looking up, Naruto realized that he was the only person around him that was doing the test the proper way. The way how Naruto saw this was that the boy known as Shino, who he went to the academy with, was using his clan's trademark family style of attacking for a different purpose. That purpose was information gathering, and the way how he was doing this was via having the bugs look at the answers of those nearby and getting them to come back to him and give him the answers. This gave Naruto the urge to see how the other people were cheating to see whether or not he could get ideas to use. Looking over at that Hyuga that Sasuke was talking to before, was using his clan's famous bloodline. Realizing that the proctors were promoting the fact that if you could cheat in a good way and not get caught, then you would not lose any points for your cheating efforts, Naruto slowly started to form a smirk on his face. This was surely going to get attention. As much as he had changed, there would always be a part of him that desired for attention. Watching with keen eyes, Naruto observed Ino Yamanaka using her familiar jutsu to take control of another genin. Now's my chance. Getting up, Naruto, with all of the balls in the world, walked up to the same ninja that Ino had just taken control over. Smirking, feeling everyone's eyes on him, including all of the proctors, Naruto snatched the paper on the desk and started walking back to his desk. Ibiki was utterly baffled at what he just witnessed. Never before had he seen a kid with that much balls. What the fuck do you think you're doing? Ibiki shouted, getting Naruto to turn around. The rules were if you get caught cheating, you lose 2 points. I still have 8 points. Naruto replied, face morphing into a serpentine smirk. New rule, no stealing other people's tests. If you do, you will be removed from the village immediately. Ibiki quickly made a new rule, knowing that the room would descend into chaos if he didn't regain control. Damn you, Naruto! Sakura thought to herself, shitting herself, hoping that Team 7 didn't get disqualified due to Naruto's actions. TCH, show off. Sasuke rolled his eyes at his teammates' behavior. Asshole, stole my test, Miss Yamanaka in all of her rage, produced her hand into a seal and stared at her fellow blonde. Naruto for his part turned around and merely smirked back. He's kind of an ass when he does that. Despite her insulting him, her attention was locked on him far more than it ever had before. With adrenaline running through his body, Naruto didn't care one bit that all eyes in the room were on him. It was exactly what he wanted. XXX. I am the wonderful, sexy, and beautiful Anko Mitarashi. Anko said as she held out a large banner behind her that stated all of the things she had just said. I am the proctor for the second test. Seeing the number of people that had made it past this time, Anko started a conversation with the scarred man. 63? This is about normal, so I guess that there is nothing special in them. Anko stated to Ibiki. Ibiki for his part, allowed Anko to think that. Whatever, I'll at least cut them down in half by the end of the next test. Anko stated, to which she looked at the group and saw a few nervous faces. Using this to her advantage, Anko tried to instill a little brand of her own fear into the Gakis. I'm getting excited. I'll explain everything once we've changed places. The purple-haired woman stated to the mostly kids and some adults in front of her. Doing what they were told, all of the genin that had just passed Ibiki's test followed the eccentric woman out to wherever it was that she was taking them to see what the next test would involve. Forest of Death. When they arrived at their destination, Anko spoke up to the Chunin hopefuls, getting their attention. Welcome to the site of the second testing place for your exams. This place is officially known as Training Ground 44, but unofficially, the locals like to call this place the Forest of Death. Anko stated as if she was some form of tour guide civilian. Taking in a good look at where their test was going to place, Sakura was fairly creeped out as the Forest of Death looked very intimidating. Naruto was wondering what types of animals and plants there were in there, as the place certainly gave off the vibe that it was survival of the fittest. Sasuke was contemplating how many powerful opponents he would get into fight in the Forest of Death. You will soon find out why it is called the Forest of Death. Anko deviously stated with a smile on her face as she looked at all of the genin, seeing which one looked like they were about to shit their pants the quickest. Unfortunately, there was no one genin who stood out from the rest, although that Hyuga girl looked like a fairly good target. But before that can happen, by law I am required to give you a day off so that you can prepare for the upcoming test tomorrow. I only brought you here so that you would know where to go tomorrow. Now, since I have stated everything that I needed to say, I'm going, so you might want to as well. Anko stated to the genin, who all looked relieved in their own ways, even Gara, as this would give him some time to get lots of food into his stomach beforehand. Oh, and before I go, I will give you one bit of advice because I'm such a nice person. You'll want a pack for 5 days. Chow, the purple-haired special jonin, said before she flickered away. Seeing that everyone was leaving, going their own ways except for a few teams that were standing around planning their next test in advance, Naruto left the Forest of Death entrance to go and get as best prepared for the Forest of Death as he could, hoping that he would be able to obtain the rank of Chunin after everything. The moment Naruto left the training ground, he headed straight for the library, as like practically every other time that Naruto needed help after his transformation as a person and as a ninja, the library was the place that held all of the answers. Picking up the book, Naruto made his way to Training Ground 7, which was the only place that he could freely train, as his apartment was too small for anything like that and he would be shunted out of other places to train thanks to him being the container of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. When Naruto got to the place, he decided to do some testing to see just how far he had come in wind elemental manipulation and whether it would make a difference in combat on an enemy ninja. Using the skills and knowledge he had gained from his clones the previous day, Naruto placed his left palm on the top of his right forearm and did the wind elemental composition he learnt the day before. When Naruto removed his hand so that he could look at the work he had done, Naruto noticed that there was a small cut on his arm that drew about a teaspoon's worth of blood from his body, as the wound quickly healed thanks to the Kyuubi. Despite knowing that it would take a lot longer to heal as none of the other people would have the Kyuubi inside of them, Naruto was far from impressed, as he wanted something that could end the opponent on first hit and not something that would take about an hour to make a difference in a battle. Knowing what needed to be done, Naruto used his most prolific jutsu to date, the Shadow Clone, to get the ball rolling on his training with the wind element. Halfway during the training session, Naruto dispelled the clones so that he could get the experience from them as he ate and waited as his chakra reserves replenished themselves thanks to the food he was ingesting. When Naruto found out that the clones could cut the leaves quickly and with a smooth surface, Naruto read the Shinobi book to see if there was anything in there that would give him an idea on how to get better at it. That was that to get better with the wind element, you needed to cut stronger objects to get better at it, with the culmination of the intermediate training needing you to cut through a waterfall. With the book suggesting that Naruto should cut objects like sticks before he moved on to thicker pieces of wood, Naruto knew exactly what he was going to do for the rest of the day's training session. By the end of the day and at around about 10 p.m. at night, Naruto finally called it quits on his training session and went back home happy with the progress he had made in just one day. By 2 hours to midnight, when Naruto had stopped his training, he had managed to get his ability in the cutting wind to that where he could cut a fairly large stick cleanly in half, almost as cleanly as what a person using a bandsaw could. This added ability in the cutting wind made it, combined with the fact that whenever Naruto did the hand seals for the wind release, air bullet jutsu, Naruto actually made the far more formidable wind release, drilling air bullet jutsu come out as standard instead. The power of this jutsu was so strong in the eyes of Naruto that not only could it probably cut through a body all the way up until it hit a bone, but it also could knock down a small tree with the combined power of the cutting wind, which made it easier for the pressurized wind to get through a tree's initial defenses and make the part above where the jutsu hit fall over from the impact and how deep the cut was. With his training done for the day, Naruto made his way home so that he could finally prepare for his second exam and get a decent night's sleep for the test, which started at 9:30 in the morning.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.